Fraud, that is. The charges actually stem from Stewart's 2001 sale of M-clone stock just a day before its value tumbled. To talk about the criminal trial now facing Stewart, we're joined by our trial attorney, Lynn Lee Jones. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the jury selection began today. Do you think they can put together an unbiased jury?
That's going to be tough. What you really hope for in a jury is not even that you get 12 unbiased people in a jury like this, but that you get enough objective people that they can really listen to the evidence and make a fair decision.
All right, walk us through the process. How are they going to go about doing that?
Well, it's going to be a little different in this trial than a lot of the criminal state court trials that we follow here on CNN. In this case, there is a jury form, a questionnaire that hundreds of jurors filled out.
And that's what they were doing today,
That's
correct?
what they were doing today.
They're filling out questionnaires.
Filling it out. And by Monday, the lawyers have to let the judges know, based on just the review of those questionnaires, if there are any jurors that they say, just even based on their answers to written questions, would be too biased, and they want the judge to strike them so that they don't have to waste their limited opportunities to strike members of the jury. Then the next step will be that they will themselves or have the judge ask questions that are formulated by the lawyers, but that will be verbal. So they'll be literally asking the jurors questions about their familiarity with Martha Stewart, questions about perhaps their own criminal histories, anything that might bias them.
Well, this sounds like a long process. How long is it going to take for this to go forward, and how do you see it playing out into the trial?
It will take at least a couple of weeks, because there's the deadline Monday for the lawyers to get back to the judge with the jurors that they want struck. And then the judge will take her time in deciding which jurors she will choose to strike. And then they will they will do this voir dire process, it's called, where they ask these verbal questions of the jury. Then the lawyers will get to each deselect. They don't really select the jury, they deselect the jury. And so they'll go through this process of striking jurors until they have only 12 left, and those won't necessarily be the ideal jurors, but they'll be better than the rest that they struck.
Very quickly, because we're already running out of time, I have to ask you about the trial. I like to play devil's advocate here. If you were defending Martha Stewart, what angle would you take?
In the trial? Well, I think the biggest thing is that she's not part of the corporate corruption scandals that are going on in America. She's a minor player. She got caught up in this and accused of something that is really the purview of people that are working in stock brokerages and so forth, that this was really a cocktail party crime that came from being too chummy with people who had too much information, and that she's really blameless.
A bigger picture here. All right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Lynn Lee Jones, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.